We begin tonight's Sikha, and we're learning the Teichen of the Sikha of Shabbos Parsha achrei Kadeshim Toshin Nun Aleph. And the shiur is taking place in the base Knesset at Beit Tzfat. Tonight is Thursday night, Lates Iyar Toshin Ayin Zayin. So the whole Sikha is concerned with the inyan of the Aveda necessary to bring the Gula Shlema. And there's a continuation, what we saw with Kof Ches Nisan in Toshin Nun Aleph. There was a tremendous boost to the whole approach to the campaign to bring the Gula Shlema on the part of the Rebbe. And so that followed in the Sikhas which come after that. Even though they're centered around certain Shabbos and certain Parshias, which are read in the Torah on those Shabbos and Pirkei always, and all those allied things to those particular Shabbos, the central theme of all of these Sikhas is the inyan of the Gula Shlema. And that lasted all the way through till Chag HaShavuos of that year, where all the Sikhs were centered around the one and supremely governing point of the not only the necessity to bring the Gula Shlema, but what does it represent to us and what does it mean when I get to the Hemshech Kim of all the Bria after the Eibusha will send the Gula Shlema, and what is Kilo, the Tachlis of the Neshama and the life of a Yid Benegeh to all these Inyanim Akshurim with the Gula Shlema. So that's how we start off, and that's what's going to be the central theme. So therefore Rebbe begins Klal Yaduhu Sheteichnoi Shokol Dover Mitpatei B'Shmoi. It's well known that the Alter Rebbe brings at the beginning of Shara Yichud Ve'amunah in Perek Aleph. The Alter Rebbe is Mavaya over there that in Lashon Kodesh the oisias of the name of any inyan, no matter what it may be, its name, of that particular inyan, whether it be an object, or whether it be a man, or whether it be an animal, or any of the Bali HaChaim, its name indicates what is the Teichen, meaning what is the Pnimius, and what is ultimately the purpose of that particular inyan, or that particular object or living creature. All of that is expressed in the name. Yeah, so therefore says the Rebbe, that means Haveyoima means to tell us that Im Ritzonenu Lekabel Musag Al Mahusay shall call inyan. If we want to grasp understanding and appreciation at the very essence of any particular inyan, then Oleinu Lizbeinim B'Shmoi. It's a well-known cloud that we have to pay careful attention and reflect and deepen our minds, but it gets to the name of that particular inyan. V'im kain, so that follows, the Kedei Lekabel Musag Al Teikna Shel Gula Shlema. In order to gain some, appreciation and some grasp of the toichan, the inner message and the inner pnimios of the Gula Shlema, ubi'ika, he said, and even more than that, kedei lekabel musak, keter aleinu lehiskoina. How are we to prepare ourselves, likroso, in order to meet and to bring the Gula Shlema, or mahi ocheinu avoida, and the dresses kedei lavia. And also, what is what's going to be the closing avoida on the part of Yidden to actually bring the Geula B'Poyo, then for all of those in Yonim, and to gain emissary appreciation of what these things are and how we're going to approach them. Oleinu lizbeinan b'shem hagir Geula. Imkein, we have to be mizbeinen in the name of the Geula, which is Geula. Yeah, the word Geula. There's a regular in it. With the word Geula. So, just by way of background, I think that probably happens in order to give these shurim. It happened last night also. Yeah, the Mila of Mitoich HaChoshech. Yeah, Yisorin Ha'oyer Mitoich HaChoshech. Yeah, Yisafcho Choshech Alin Hoyer. Al-Choponim, just to give a little bit of background here, the Rebbe brings a very fascinating din from the Rambam when they get to a nausea. You know what a nausea is not allowed to drink wine, and if he says that I'm a nausea until the day that Moshiach will come, then he's not allowed ever to drink wine. In other words, right from the very moment that he becomes a nausea, because every moment the Moshiach can come every second. So if he's made himself also to drink wine, when Moshiach will come, then he can't drink wine ever. That's what the Rebbe brings, a very fascinating din. So we see that the Indian of the Geula is an immediate, and it's also brought down in certain halachas in the Gemara, that where you need like immediacy or care not to make a hefsek or thing, the Gemara says, why? Because Shemi Yibona Beisa Hamidas, maybe the Beis Hamidas is going to be built, and that can happen in one instant. He'll be left without having done what he's supposed to do, so he has to do it immediately. And so it's brought down in the Gemara, Semtekayim. So we see Lafisa that the coming of the Geulas are living an ongoing entity that mamish can happen any second, kipshute. So the Rebbe says that in the Torah in Pasha Va'iro, we're told by our sages that there are 4 Lashonos of Geula. There are actually 5 of them. The Maram in Prague says that we actually have to have a 5th course. On Leil HaSeder, the question is whether we drink it or we just have it, but we have to have it. Because he says there's a 5th Lashon of Geula. There's Hoitzeisi, there's Lokakti, there's Goalti, there's Hebeisi. 5 different Lashonos of Geula. So the Rebbe said, L'chayra, Yidden have been waiting for the Geula for a long time. And they've been longing for the Geula, and it's a central part in the whole teaching of our sages. Why is it there's only one word that's used in reference to Geula? L'chayra, we should call the Geula the Lakicha, or we should call it the Havoah. The custom by all Yidden is to call the Geula b'Shem Geula, even though it's only one of their names, is a sign that the most applicable word to the whole concept of what's going to happen through Moshiach, and ultimately the Inyan of Tchias Hamazon is the Inyan expressed by the word Geula. That's Kilo, the central term. And therefore, the Rebbe says, Ba'al Yidden in all the Chugim and all the Sugim of Yidden, when they want to talk about what's going to happen, when Moshiach comes, they call it the Geula. Yeah? The Geula, or the Geula Tzleima, or the Geula Asida, yeah, but they use the word Geula. It's assuming that the word Geula has a very more than just some direct connection. It's not just a name for the Geula, but it's what we might call the name with a capital T-H-E. That is the real name. So if we want to know then about all the Inyoni HaGeula plus, what we have to do to bring the Geula, then we have to be mispointed in this word Geula itself. Then we have to look carefully and study and reflect what's going on with that word Geula. Mitei kol habituim b'Torah המבטאים את המצב של היציאה מהגלות הזה האחרון, הרי הכינוי ששוגר בפי כל ישראל. The Rebbe says the name for the Geula, the getting out of this last Golet and getting into Moshiach, then the expression and the name for this particular Yetziyah Miyagolas, which is accustomed by Alle Yidden, V'cheinu b'Chazal, also our sages use the same word, the word Geula, despite all the other words. Im kein davke b'mila zu tmuna teikno hapnimi shel haGeula hamitis ba'ashleima. Alle Yidden call the going out of the state of Golas into the state which will be after Moshiach. They all call it with that word. Is assuming that we got to appreciate and be mispointed be'ika in that word. V'hinei davke b'teva zu, davke in that particular word, on a mighty minyan play. The Rebbe said we find in the word Geula a very surprising and wondrous what you might call aspect or chiddush in the word Geula. Hamila Geula morkeves mishnei musogim aki koitabim. So the Rebbe says the word Geula is made up from two concepts which are very central. Or how do you call it? They're like the center of a how do you call it, the diameter of a circle. It's called a koter. It's like at the center. Michad, mabis tevazu klula meoisias goila. From one aspect, or from one side, the majority of the oisias, in this word, geula, are the word for goila. The majority of all the oisias, there's only one os, which is the aleph. Well, that turns the word into Geula. Otherwise, the whole word is the word Goyla. And the Rebbe said that means Golas. Ella shekasher moisivim as ois aleph. If you come along and put in there ois aleph, no yitzeres amila Geula, then you get the word Geula. So isn't that an amazing thing? That the Geula represents the absolute opposite muchlat of everything the Golas represent. It represents the going out of the Golas and getting into the Matzav, which is going to be on the day Moshiach Tzidkenu. Well, that's a most ultimate change and alteration. So the word for that is based on the whole word for the Golas, plus one ois is the only difference. So isn't that amazing, says the Rebbe, that what we're trying to get out of, that is the main makeup of the word for Geula. So he said, Medrash, we find this is stressed very much in a Medrash, Ach mofurish ki amila goila shebenevuah Zecharia or Gula shebenevuah Zecharia koileles b'toicha shnei pirushim. Has in itself say Perushim. So that needs a little bit of explanation. In Pasha Bahaloishcha. And also on Shabbos Chanukah, we read the famous Haftarah from Zechariah Novi, where it says about the vision that Zechariah Novi had of the menorah, and particularly the menorah, how it's going to be, or how it represents the purity of Yidden and the whole shleimus of Yidden, and ultimately the message of the Geula. So it's written that the menorah, the way he saw it, had all the seven, how do you call it, kanei menorah, but on the top of the menorah was a kli, and in this kli there was dropping shemen zayas from special zaysim, which were also at the top, and they were falling into this vessel, and from this vessel there went out all sorts of like, how do you call it, little, how would you call them, like pipes, were going from this general kli into each particular nair on the seven hands of the menorah. And so Zechariah Hanovi calls that thing the word gula. He calls it a gula al reshod. It had a kli, and so all of the Meforshim learn that this word gula is referring to this kli, which all the shemen was falling first of all into that kli. So come along, there's in the Medrash Rabbah, both in Vayikra Rabbah and also in Shir HaShirim, the Medrash brings down that there's a difference of opinion between two Amoraim. What is this word gula? Why is this kli called gula? So one of them says that kli is called the word gula, because the word gula indicates goyla, and the Yidden are going to have to be many years in the state of a golas. So what it means is the purity and the wondrousness of the Jewish people despite the gola. And another Amir differs with him, and he says no, that the word gula or Roshai indicates the word for geula. It really is hinting at the word geula, and when Moshiach will come, then the menorah is going to be very, very specially pure, in a completely different way. And it's talking about another purity, not the purity of the Yidden in the Golas, but the purity of the Yidden in the Gula Shlema. So it says the Rebbe, we see from that it's possible to understand the word Goyla, Gimel Vov, Lamed Hei, as referring to Geula, because there's one opinion that says that's what it's referring to. So how do you get that Goyla should really be referring to Geula? You have to understand, at least, that there's an aleph put into that and turns it into Geula. So therefore, the Rebbe said we see that this whole Ina really has a place in the Medrash. There's one opinion that says that Goyla means Goyla, and that's it. There's another opinion that says the word Goyla really means Geula, and how can I get to that only if I put an aleph in? So Rebbe says the Rebbe, Elisha Kasher Moisevim as Oish Aleph Noitzeres Amila Geula. I feel according to him, you have to add the word aleph in order for it to really indicate Geula in the real way. You have to add the Oish Aleph. Yeah, so the Rebbe said, I'm sorry, Chadom Geula, V'ochen B'chsidus Mavua, and the truth is that in Chsidus, it's understood, I went back to the previous line. I really meant to be learning this line. V'ochen B'chsidus Mavua, Sha'isa Aleph Hainei Sefes, and therefore Chsidus explains that the extra aleph which is put into the word Goyla, Miramezes ala Lufay Shal Oilom, it's put down in Likutei Torah from the Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe writes in two places in Likutei Torah that you get from Goyla to Geula by putting an aleph in. However, he said, what is that aleph indicatory of? The Ois aleph also has a thing. What does it represent? The Ois aleph represents the Ebershter. Yeah, in other words, the aleph can be referring to alufoi shaloilo. In other words, that the word aleph can also be hinting at the word aluf. And an aluf means all over ruler, ever ruling ruler. For example, nowadays they call, well, even in the Torah we see in reference to Esau, that his leaders are called alufei Esau. In other words, the big bosses that were by Esau, that they had like absolute power, they were called alufim. And so it's brought down in Siddur that the word, the etzem ois aleph is aleph lamed fei. If you write it out, it's aleph lamed fei. So that's exactly the same ois as the word aluf. Yeah, if you were to put a vav in, then you get aluf. So aluf means the general, all-ruling leader of the world, and that's the Eibishter. From that the Rebbe's moved everything forward. It's not just that we add the Ois Aleph and we get from Goyla to Geula, but what is the Ois Aleph? What does it represent? The Eibishter, how the Eibishter is beyond all the worlds. He is the leader and the complete ruler over the whole universe. If we put him into the Goyla, then we get to Geula. You follow? In other words, the word Geula tells us that I'm in a state of Goyla. What is the way out of that Goyla? What is the way to the Geula Shlema? To put in the Alufei Shal Olam, to bring the essence of the Eibishter, and that Aleph representing it, the Eibishter, that's what turns the Goyla into Geula. Says the Rebbe. Nonetheless, even with all that, the matter still asks a question. Oimer Dorsheni means that it demands an explanation. Haloi, enige shnei musogim koitvim v'soisrim. Kemoi goyla v'geula. I mean, these are two very central ideas, but they're central, but they're opposite. So the Rebbe said we have to be misboinen with all these good things that we've just said. We need to be misboinen. Keitzad yitochen. How does it make any sense? Shoisa mila yeshekomu mevateses amahuz. The name expresses the whole mahus of the thing. Yeah, tivne tibona me oisom oisias. The word Geula means what it does, but it's built from the main oisha, also the first os, Gimel. It's brought down in Shara'iga that the first os of a word is very important. So it's not just the majority of the oisas, it's also the first os of the word Goyla. The first os is also the os of the word Goyla. So the Rebbe says, it still demands an explanation. Why would Hashem make the name for the Geula made up of the majority of it is made up of the exact opposite? And come to it, the word Geula is built in its etzem name from two dvarim, completely opposite, one to the other. However, before we get to that, we need to think, before we sort of get to the pneumius of that Indian, we need to think for a moment. The whole thing becomes more complex if we're going to get out of the Golas. That's what the Geula implies. We're going to move out of the Golas, and to use an expression, we're going to be very happy to leave the Golas behind. Isn't that the case? I mean, Ali Yidden are going to be more than pleased that we've got rid of the Golas. He said that when Moshiach will come, and particularly there'll be all the developments afterwards, we're going to forget all about it would seem that we're going to forget all about the Goyla, And the whole meaning of the present state of Goyla is an imprisonment for Yidden, both in their bodies and their soul. If Cain, how does it make any sense that the Geula is made up of the word Golos? Once the Geula comes, the Chur of the Golos is not going to have any real place. We're all going to run away from the Golos. So what's it doing there? And how does it have any part in the word Geula? You follow? So from that the Rebbe draws a most amazing conclusion. And that is the Geula is not going to cause us to run away from the Golos. The Geula is going to cause us to get out of the imprisonment of Golos, of the limitations of Golos, of all the good things that we've done in the Golos. And even put it another way, all the good things that the Golos has caused you to do, all the wondrous Meshuras Nefesh, and all the tremendous things that you didn't have done despite the Golos. That, in other words, that the Golos has caused them to do wondrously good things as well. All those things are not going to be forgotten. They're all going to be taken with us, and they're going to be all built and brought to their ultimate perfection through the inyan of the Geula. In other words, that Mashiach is not going to cause us to run away from the Golos. All the Golos means, all the Geula is going to really mean, is that everything is going to be freed from its lack of Gilui, what it's really all about. And everything we've done in a good way has got tremendous implications. Ain't so. So that's all going to be revealed. How's that going to be revealed? Because it was part of the Golos, which means that really, even though the Golos is a Golos, it's only a Golos in the sense that everything is behelim and things are not revealed and things are not freed, as it were. The Geula is only going to free what everything is hidden inside the Golos. That's why it is that the word Geula has to have the oasis of Golos in it. And that's why if we look, and the Rebbe is going to bring it, if you look carefully in Tanya, in Perik Lamed Zayin, the Alter Rebbe says that we're going to bring the Geula alidei ma'aseinu v'avidoseinu b'meshek kol zman hagolos. That during the whole time we're in Golos, we're preparing for the Geula time. So the Alter Rebbe says clearly that our avodah in what we're doing now, in the so-called Goyla, or that is bringing Moshiach. Adarabah, that is what, if it weren't for that Hagdoma of that Aveda in the Golos, you're not going to be able to get to the Geula anyway. So from that we see that even though the Golos is a suffering, on the other hand, the Pneumias and the Kavanah Pneumias of that is that that's a forerunner and a way that we're approaching the Geula. So what the Geula is going to do is just release from their Helen of a Hester all those things which are really hidden in what we're doing in the Goyla. It comes to us that the Goyla is very important, and what we're doing in the Goyla is essential to the whole thing. And therefore, I thought of something which might just not written in the Sikha, but there occurred to me the Alter Rebbe in the Kut Torah and Parashat Devarim. The Alter Rebbe says he likens the whole Aveda in the time of the Golos to somebody that's putting a lot of precious jewels and money into a safe. And he puts them away in the safe, and the safe is locked. And nobody's allowed to go to that safe because it's got all these precious. And he himself, because he's worried that it might get lost, so he doesn't open the safe either. So what's happening is that he's built up all this wealth and all these wondrous things, he puts it all in a safe, but it's all locked away in the safe. He doesn't really benefit from it in a direct way. He just knows, but he knows. And just the knowledge that it's in the safe, that gives him a lot of encouragement. The very fact that he knows it's in the safe. So the same thing here, we're building up everything, and we're preparing the Geula, making tremendous jewels, that they're going to be begoli in the Geula. It's just that they're locked up in a safe. And what Moshiach is going to do, he's going to undo the safe, and all these things are going to come out. and all the unbelievable things that we've prepared for the Geula Shlema, all going to be revealed. And when we nimtza, what is Moshiach really going to do? He's going to unlock the hell of Hester in the Gaulas. We're going to see everything in its ultimate reality, which means that everything which is Gaulas is going to be released. And it's tremendous, unbelievable riches. They're going to be released. And the whole reason we don't have the ultimate satisfaction is because it's like locked away in the safe. We just know the fact that we're preparing a wondrous thing, and that gives us courage to keep going. But Mashiach is going to free it all and bring it all out. Ella, that's what the Rebbe says now. And you should realize this is an amazing idea. The more you think about it, the more it makes sense, you know. Otherwise, what would the Eibishter be doing? Sending it into Goddess. What does it make any sense? They're getting all over the place, and they're suffering all the tribulations of the Goddess. I mean, Asa Taklas Yesh Ella, that all the things that are happening, the Goddess, as it were, have to happen. They have to, and through that they, what Chassidus calls the Inyan of the Pnimius, Atzimus, and Neshama, he's going to talk about it as we go along. The Inyan of Mesiras Nefesh, Dvarim L'maylam, they all come out. And there, as it were, forming a huge, safe full of unbelievable riches, but it's not available, it's not there. Because the hell and Hester of the world doesn't allow it to be felt. Moshiach is going to open that hell and Hester. It's all going to appear, even for an unbelievable he's gathered. So therefore said the Rebbe, Goyla and Geula are really very close. And that's the wondrous words. The Alter Rebbe, what he said, that everything we're doing, B'meshech HaGola, that is preparing the inyan of Geula. And so, what it comes out is, you got this amazing what everything a Yid does, and every inyan of mitzvah, and every in another place, the Rebbe points out that even more when a Yid wrestles with the divrei reshus, not just things which are written mitzvahs, but he approaches everything in life, and he does it in a holy way, and he turns it into a mitzvah. But that is something that's the most amazing achievement, and that's the challenge of the Goddess brings that out in Yid. And Mamela, they're building up this wondrous richness, even more than mitzvahs. It's even Kaddish Atzmacho, B'mutzala, or the Inyan, in Divrei Reshus, there has written, Shiyu Kol Masech Hashem Shamayim, and even more than that, B'chol Drochecha Do Ehu, that's like leading, and that's bringing this whole state, and doubt you through the fact that a Yid faces the tribulation and the difficulties of that situation, well, that's going to lead to the Geula. That is the ultimate purpose. Elavos, we don't have it, but Mashiach is going to reveal. So therefore he says, Geula ain't pirusha haznacha shel Chayim. It's not that we're going to run away from everything we've had here, all our life up till now. We're going to just get away from it and go to another state. Shall ha'pi'il yois v'shel kol ha'olam k'fi shahim hoyu b'tkumas ha'gola. No, but the Geula is not haznacha. Haznacha means leaving them behind. Laheva, Geula, k'shmo kein hu. He poyela sh'amatzia sh'hoyas ha'koidem. Meshuberes begolas mishtachreres. Oh, that's the whole word. And in the Sikha, the Rebbe uses that word, meshuchra. He uses that word in Lashon Kodesh and in Yiddish. In other words, we live in a Metzias, which is really a tremendously high Metzias. But the problem is that it's meshubat. How do you call it? It's like enslaved by the hell and of the world, and it's enslaved by certain inyonim of the golos, which add to the hell of the world. But if we would imagine that all those things would fall, then you would see the most amazing riches, and you would see how every little in what appears so small is a huge and unbelievable riches in its own right. And that's the word, mishtachareres, that the whole heaven is going to fall down. Avamela, it means that we've taken all our lives of the Golas and brought it to its end. And therefore the word Golas and Geula, they have to be the same. They have to be the same word. It's a most amazing and mind-boggling idea. And if you study carefully in Tanya, if you look in Tanya, in Perek Lamed Hey, Lamed Vav, Lamed Zayin, in Tanya, you see it's all written there. The Alter Rebbe says that everything that was that Matan Torah is already and the whole ultimate purpose of the whole creation was only to come to Yemoshe Mashiach. And then he goes in Lamed Zayin to say, how is that going to happen? We are preparing it every day that we're still in the Golas. We're preparing for the Inyan HaGeula. It's all there in Tanya. So, in Cain, it follows that the Geula is the preparation. You can't take away, the Goyla is the preparation. You can't take that away. All we're going to do is take away this unbelievable curtain, as it were. This unbelievable, we're going to free everything for what it really is. I find that a most amazing idea. Avamela, if you look carefully in Nine Base, there's a whole Maimon, and Rebbe Rashab was a few Maimorim in Nine Base, but the Rebbe says that really the Matthias of the Geula is there. And they didn't have built up the Matthias of the Geula through their avodah in all the generations. It's just that there's a Hilam, how do you call it, a Hilam Koved, which doesn't allow us to see everything that we've built. And so he says the whole difference between Golas and Geula is just to remove that Hilam. And so he says there are two sorts of Hilams. There's a Hilam that you've made, and then there's a Hilam which is made, as it were, from Milamila. So that depend on one on the other. If you weren't getting rid of the Hilam you made, then Hashem will take away the Hilam clearly. Avamela, that's what he says. On the contrary, he said, all of the Geula will be more perfect, more absolute and more genuine. Ad legula amiti v'ashleima. That is harei yoisa v'yoisa dvarim mishtacharim ad shecho mishtacharer. So the Rebbe says that the perfection and the most perfect state is just how much is freed. In other words, everything is there. It's just a question of, as it were, revealing it and cutting away the ropes of the Hilam. So the Rebbe said the more perfect you're going to get means that the more you've released, the more, everything is there. And it's written Mufurish. I found it Mufurish in two Maimorim and I am Bay. The Rebbe Rashab says, Mamizah. Avamina says the Rebbe, Yeklum lo yinoisa avuda begolas. There's not going to be anything lost. Beklal, in the whole creation, you should realize there's nothing lost. Ein avud. I remember once I walked across a little stream in the mountains of a range of mountains in South Africa. I was walking with one of my when I was in South Africa. We walked across the stream and there was a whole lot of silt. You know what silt is? It's like sort of wet mud with little particles in it. We had to step over. He said, oh, you see that? He said, that's from all sorts of stones and other things that were way up in the mountains. And the river rubs against these stones and it brings these little particles all the way. And then all of a sudden Hashem says, no, stop. You're not going any further, because here there's a whole piece needs to be covered. There's too much, something's being revealed too much, and we need to cover this over. So all the silt came down, and there's an amazing function that is covering over. And what's going to happen in another few weeks, little, how do you call it, growths, what do you call them, weeds or little things are going to start growing. And he said they had to grow, and if that silt hadn't have stopped there but would have kept going down, then they wouldn't have been able to grow. So he says that nothing is lost. I remember he said to me, there's no such thing. Everything which appears to rot away, it all has a further, it's just moved into another field of function. There's no avud. Ain't avud shabbat. Avamela, the Rebbe said, even what's happening in the Golas is not avud, chas v'shalom. In other words, it's a very encouraging idea. Look at what happened, in the Golas, Navagidin, there's been so much unpleasantness that put up with in Golas. Let's just take the Rebbe's father, Rebbe Yitzchak. He built up this amazing Rabbonas. Then he ended up dying of an illness in a Golas, in a place called Alma. It looks as if everything's lost, and nothing's lost. He's got a son who's Melech HaMashiach. You realize what that is? And the whole empire that he started, a little piece of, is flowing throughout the whole world. Nothing is lost. It's all just there, and it's all building up, and it's also shrinking. We want Moshe. He wants to get out of the Golan, and that's what Moshe will do. He will free it all, and that's all. כלום לא ינויס עבוד בגוז, אפילו הנידוחים והאוהבים יגלו. What's it written in the Parashat? ובואו האוהבים בארץ אשור והנידוחים בארץ מצרים, וישתחוו להשם בהר הקודש. So who are these people? נידוחים ועבודים בארץ מצרים or בארץ אשור. That means people who got lost in the Golan. People seem to have gone lost in the Golan. No such thing. Ain't of it. All those who look to have been lost are all going to come back. They're all going to come back. And take a look at what's happening in Russia. You got all these people that the communists work so systematically to uproot everything. You realize what it was? Unbelievable Golan. Unbelievable. And so there are whole huge groups of Yidden they were the Tiferes of Yiddishkeit in earlier generations, and they've all gone. They all seem to be lost. Nobody knows who these guys are. So what's happening now in Russia, you got all these people, all of a sudden they make a Seder night, a public Seder night. All of a sudden they expected a minyan. Next thing is they have about 60 people or 70 people showed up. I heard of a few mices, but they didn't have enough to deal with everybody. Also, these people, and they're all the nidochim va'oivdim be'eretz Ashur. They're all coming back. They're all appearing, and they're all coming out. You follow? They're all being joined. And who worried about all this? And who took it on his shoulders? It's the Rebbe. You guys should realize what that is. It's the Rebbe Square, all these people. You know this fellow, he comes on Wednesday night, Mendel Kasmina. Mendel Kasmina. He goes every few weeks to Russia, and he's there for about 2 weeks. He said every time he goes there, he's got more people to deal with. Every time it's more people. And he has to go to more places, and you got all these people, and they want to ask him tens and hundreds of questions. He can't deal with it all. It's just not shy to deal with. In other words, it's going all over the place. And that's what the Rebbe said, that even the Nidochim and the Eidim, they're also going to be revealed. Nobody's going to be lost. Af Yehudi lo yishe'er b'golam. And I heard that several times from the Rebbe. The Rebbe would say, by bringing Keinain Yid vet nicht bleiben in Gottes. The Rebbe said, not one Jew is going to be left. You realize what that means? So I remember one time he said to me, what about taking the good place like Melbourne in Australia? So you got these huge mansions, And people live in the Yidden, they've got millions. They live in these, huge mansions, and you got to have about 5 television sets and 50 computers just to get through the first door, just to get through the garden door, get into the place. So he said, you mean to tell me they're going to come when Mashiach comes? So I said, you'll be very surprised, but they'll be from the first. Not one person's going to remain. It's all just a question of freeing what is already there. All the potential is there. You just got to release the energy. That's what Mashiach is going to do. So he says, Haim becomes for Haim ba'enas. It's all inadequate in quantity and in quality. Kol ha'seim v'apuli shekol b'nei ha'odom yishtachru. What that means, the Rebbe says, even the Umas ha'olam, even the Goyim, they've done some good things. They've done a lot of very bad things, unfortunately. But some of them have done good things. That will also be revealed. That will also come and have its own particular aliyah. You see, the Rebbe is amazing. The Rebbe sees how everything fits in. And all these people that they've done terrible things, they have themselves cancelled their own selves out. It's not that anybody's cancelling them out. They've pulled their own mat from under their own feet. So they're just going to eat, the results of what they did. They're going to have to face it. But all the people who tried, or at least said or wanted to do something good, they're going to have their own particular balance, aliyah, when Mashiach will come. So that was the Rebbe, Oyoz, Yizbatla Helen V'Hester. At that time, the whole Helen V'Hester is going to come. But Hamachaser, Hamatuyos, Hamitias, Vapanimias, Shel Hamatias Kula. Everything is real Elikuz, and everything wants to be Elikuz, and everything has been made by Yidden into Elikuz. It's all there. What is the problem? There's a kisui, there's a huge cover. And that is holding everything back. Moshe is going to pull that down. And that's what you can see, the work of the Rebbe all over the world. He's pulling down, and somebody's pulled the wool over our eyes. We're going to pull down the wool. No more wool. So the Rebbe is gradually pulling down the wool all over the world, and people are beginning to look and they see something different altogether. It's amazing. I was I like Sforim. There's gone out a new sefer about the Rebbe now. I didn't buy it because, it's not for me. I don't really have time to read it. But it's an amazing sefer. It's absolutely mind-boggling. It's called Rega Shel Emet. And what does it show? It shows that through all the years of the so-called Medina's Israel, how all the generals and the army leaders had relations with the Rebbe and discussed with him and couldn't figure out how did he know so much about the bitochen and what's good for the army and what should be done. And in most cases, they ended up agreeing with him implicitly, but they just couldn't act because the politicians didn't let them do it. But they saw the embers of what the Rebbe said. And you got these big guys, and they're writing witnesses that they saw from the Lubavitcher River that had they been able to obey him, they would have achieved everything in the army should have really achieved. It's a big, thick book like that. You understand? So what is this? What is going on around here? Elamai, it's a sign that it's all there. Everything is there. The whole guidance of the Rebbe, everything indicates the Geula. You just got to pull the wool down from over your eyes. And that's what the Rebbe said, open your eyes. Just look a bit further and look a bit more inward and look a bit deeper, and you'll see it's all there. So all the Mashiach is going to do, he's going to take away this whole hell and boom, you're going to have all this amazing. You think, oh boy, I'm hammering away, but where am I really getting? You know, what's happening? And I catch myself every day, and I do a mitzvah, and I help somebody. I put on tefillin, and I done with a minyan. These things are building amazing gilelikus all over. Mummy. But just that you don't feel it because you're never still behind the wall of the Helem. Moshiach is going to put it down. And that's going to blow up. So the Rebbe says, ובעצם זהו תכן פסק דין של הרמב"ם. So he says that there's a very famous psak din shel Rambam. I just have to tell you that in the Gemara there's an opinion brought from, he's actually from Shmuel, he was an Amora. And certain that Shmuel, he says, Ein bein oilam hazeh le'yomois HaMashiach, only the shibud of the Goyim. But what will be a sign that we're holding by Mashiach, that we won't be meshuvah to the Goyim. The world will still basically remain what it is. That's what Shmuel. And in other places, not necessarily the Gemara, but in the Medrash and others, different opinions. Some people hold that the world is going to be immediately like Yeshaya Navi and all the great Naviim said it's going to be wondrous things. The lions and the cubs are all going to, the bears are all going to sit down together, and all sorts of amazing. So the Rambam passes like Shmuel. And he says, no, at the beginning, everything's going to be Oilam Kamin Hogei Noya. The whole thing is that the Goyim are going to be bottled, and Eden are going to be running the world, and everything's going to be according to Torah. That's what the Rambam says. So the Rebbe says, isn't that a bit sort of disappointing that the Rambam Paschal according to Shmuel, that really the world's not going to be all that different. So the Rebbe says the world doesn't need to be different, because the world, the way it is also an amazing world. And what Mashiach is going to do is just reveal to you what's really going on and what is really happening. And therefore you don't need to change the world. The world is going to be unbelievably good the way it is. You know? So that's the way the Rambam, that's the way the Rebbe learns the Rambam. And Malcolm says that the Rambam is also saying a very amazing, encouraging in it. He's not just making a bit balabatish, you know, the whole Geula. He said, the Rebbe says, take psak din shel Rambam b'Hilchos Malachim, shall be a Moishe Mashiach, oilum kiminogei noya. It's going to be the same world. Yeah, omru chachomim ein beino. That means Shmuel. Ein beino oilum hazeh li'Moishe Mashiach el shibud malchus bilvad. It gives us the slave to the Goyim. It's going to disappear, but otherwise everything. He said, Ela shi yaksu kulam dadas ha'emet. What's going to happen is that everybody will come back to appreciate the emes of religion, that Hashem is the ruler, even the Goyim. V'Mashiach yitachen es ha'olam kulo elav et Hashem biyad. Das here. The Mashiach will do that. So the Rebbe says, "V'kol zeis nifal al yidei shemegalim b'kol ha'inyonim ashekuim b'goyla es ois al." The Rebbe said, really hidden, it's written here rather briefly, but inside, the Rebbe says that really, if you learn carefully, the Rambam, you can learn the way we're learning. Really what the Rambam means, you don't need to change the world. The world is full of all the wondrousness that Mashiach's going to bring anyway. It's all there, so you don't need to change the world. You just need to take away the shibud, and that's the idea of everything being under. So therefore the Rebbe said, now we understand this whole idea of the goyla being goyla, but all you got to do is bring the aleph inside the goyla. Why? Because what's being done in the goyla is wondrous. All we got to do is bring the absolute rule of Hashem into the goyla, piros. We've got to take away the helem of the goyla. And that's what the Rebbe spoke about, the Golos mentality. You mustn't have a Golos mentality. You mustn't think that there's really any Metzias in the Golos. It's all just a Helen Esther, and our job is to bring the absolute rule of Hashem. So he said, Zuhi Elikus Amishtateres, Bechol Inyona Oilom, and especially how they are in the Golos. Kasher Maisirim, as a Helen Mazeh, all we're going to do is take away that Helen. Megalim Keted Hoemes, הפנימיות והתכלס או האמיתיות של הבריאה אינה אלא לכבודו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. Oh, so the Rebbe says that Pirkei Avos, the whole Pirkei Avos finishes with one sentence, Kol ma sheborah HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ba'ilom eloi borah ela likvodo. Everything Hashem made is only for His glory. So I thought the Shalom wasn't with all the negative things that happened. So the Rebbe said they all appear to be negative. And they're negative because certain people want to make them negative, Rahman. But if you take away that then it all appears that it is, on the contrary, it's the wondrousness of Hashem. And you'll be able to look more powerfully and deeply at it, and you'll be able to see that it is really only the Kodesh Shalom. You'll see it's all just for Him. And that's the Inyam, Dira V'Taktoinim. What is Dira V'Taktoinim? You've got to make a Dira for Hashem. You're not building something for yourself. You're making a Dira for Hashem, meaning that you're turning the whole world into the recognition that He made it all for His, Kaviyoho, for His own glory. Yeah. And I remember once, when I was in Chutzpah, somebody said to me, you know, you look at something like a rhinoceros or an alligator, these really nasty looking creatures, you know, and you say, well, you know, they're pretty, you know, negative. So he said, if you were to really know where they live and what happens with them, you would know that they do really have a function. And they have a very important function. And they carry out all sorts of amazing things. And he said, ultimately, even they are only for the glory of Hashem. It's just, you don't notice it. And for the time being, keep out of their way. However, he said the reason they're like that is partly because of the Chet Eitzah Adas. And so once that's gone down, then what does Yeshaya always say? The lion and the sheep are going to be able to be together because the Helen is going to go down. So basically, there's nothing wrong with the rhinoceros either. He's okay. And he's part of the Helen. And when the Helen will go down, you know, you look completely different. Yeah? So it's mind-boggling, the whole thing. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just that, you see, the Rebbe wasn't just a great Torah scholar. The Rebbe was an unbelievable showing of how all philosophies and all ultimate views are all centered and come together in the teachings of the Torah. So the Rebbe is like the ultimate perfection of all philosophy, and he is, as it were, the center of the intellectual activity of mankind. And ultimately, the whole thing is positivity. That's what it boils down to. That there's really nothing negative. Ain't negative. Either some people would want to make negative. So the Rebbe was in favor of that. Ain't no economic. You have to see to push their heads down. They're not good. You follow? The Rebbe was in favor. And that's a Amalek. Amalek is that choir which says, no, we understand better. We're going to make a mess out of this whole thing. Yeah. So what does the Torah say? Push him down. Him? Yeah. Him you got to push down. So if the Torah says it has to be done. Apart from that, everything is only positive. Yeah. Even that's positive. It's absolutely unbelievable. So now the Rebbe says even more than that. We see that it's not that the Rambam disagrees that there are going to be changes in the way. He disagrees the ultimate, but he says at the beginning, first of all, we'll just take away the hell of it. Later, as things go by, then they're going to come all these promises, all these wondrous things are all going to happen. The lion and the cubs and this and that, everything's going to occur ultimately. And the Rebbe's got a famous sikha, and it's printed in Sforim nowadays, that there are like two stages in the ultimate Gula according to the Rambam. So the Rebbe said, follows according to this, that everything is dependent in the Golas. That even the ultimate shleimus of the second tkufa, this unbelievable tkufa, everything is going to be just Gil Elikus. That's also dependent in the Golas. Because if it were for all the Avodah in the Golas and the preparation of everything, then we couldn't come to that state either. First of all, we're going to take the wool down from our eyes. Then we're going to have the emes of Gil Elikus. Then, that when Hashem will see proper, then we'll move on to this even greater stage, which means that even that unbelievably greater stage, which doesn't really have any error to the situation in Golas, the Golas is really preparing for that also.
Preparing for?
So it comes out if you said that you're really working on big state. Everything that we do is big time. And that's what you mustn't belittle your own thing. You're not allowed to be a Balgaiva, but you mustn't belittle yourself either. And you must know that when you do now a good thing, you are building the world into what it really is, and you're adding to that unbelievable treasure chest. And Moshiach is going to open that, and then once that, then the world's going to be no longer limited by any Helamaster. It's going to be able to move forward ultimately to the highest realization of all the promises of the Nevi'im. You follow? Which means that when you are now in the Golas, and you one day you just can't anymore, no, you have to realize that if you make that little effort, you're preparing for the ultimate revelation of the lion sleeping together with the sheep. You follow? You are building that and making that possible. And what's Mashiach going to do? He's going to pull down all the curtains, and we're going to see it, how it's all there. And you should realize that this is the unbelievable message of the Alter Rebbe, and this is what the Alter Rebbe saw in the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. And that's what's so different to other great people that didn't quite have that revelation, that the Alter Rebbe saw this whole in the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov, that everything is only reality of Etzem Elokus, and everything a Yid does, even if he's a simple person, that doesn't matter. He can be, on the contrary, he's got mileage because he's a simple person, and the purity of his act is achieving amazing buildings inside the world. And all the whole Lukuti Torah, the whole Tanya, where all the help us get to that point where we'll be able to take completely down the curtain. But if you feel carefully about yourself, when you learn a bit of Tanya. I remember once when I was in South Africa, in Mem Gimel, I went to South Africa, and I made a program of Tomchei Tamim for a whole group of guys that were on holiday. And we used to learn Tanya, and all the businessmen and everything used to come. We used to have a whole big group of guys learning Tanya once a day in the late afternoon. I feel on Chabad we used to learn the Tanya. And so I used to notice that some of these guys would come in, and they're looking at their watch, they're crouching, and they're sweating, and when you finished the Tanya, they were all wanted to dance, and they all got up. So I remember Rav Nachum said to me once, Rav Nachum Goldschmidt, he knew the Tanya before, he said to me, Tanya Makprela. He said, Tanya makes emes a simcha. For what? Because Tanya is revealing what is the real inner story, what's really happening around here. And don't look at what you see, but look at what's really happening on the inside. When you do a mitzvah, Hamshocha saying Tov and all these. So you might say, well, I'm sorry, man, but I don't see it. Ein Hanami, you don't see it. But just believe that it's there, and then you will see it ultimately. Take me out, not ultimately, but take me out. Yeah, together with Rebbe and Moshe together. And that's what was so hard for people to chap with the Alter Rebbe, that he was moving down that curtain, you follow? And that's a very big change. So some people just, weren't able to quite take it. But the Rebbe's got everybody ready. Even the generals in the army. You should see the Sefer. It's a big, thick Sefer. All the communications between the generals and the Rebbe. So you might say, what do they got with the Rebbe? A rabbi with a long coat that lives over in Brooklyn, There's amazing dialogues between the Rebbe and the general. So you have to forgive me, but I'm just running out of quakers. So we'll pause there. What's the time, by the way?
9:20.
Oh, okay. We've been running a long time. So Hashem Shalom, that's it. So Kuntai said, and he said, the Guru is not just round the corner. The Guru is really there. And now you understand why the Rebbe said, open your eye. It's just really there. All you got to do is pull down the wall, Well, you got it.
How did Golas Mitzrayim and the Shoar, and the Shoar, how were they helpful to us? What's good? What good came from Golas Mitzrayim or the Shoar?
What was that? I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch. What was the question? What did Yaakov ask?
It's a long, he means to write.
Did you ask a question, yeah?
Yes, you said that there's something good in everything. You said that's the whole shear, so that the Rebbe sees something good in everything. So I'm asking, what good came from Golas Mitzrayim and the Shoar? What good came? What good for us?
In other words, you could have had good even without the Golas.
Yeah.
You see, it's like in the whole universe. You can ask the same question, why did the Abraham send the Neshama down here?
Okay.
Everything was good with the Neshama L'mayla. What do you need to send the Neshama down? On the contrary, it's the opposite of what Hashem usually does. Hashem makes aliyahs, and here he took a Neshama and he sent her down. And the Gemara says it's from Bira Igra Rama Bira Amikta. It's like from a huge tower into a deep pit, So why would the Abraham do that? Elamai, that there's a desire on the part of Hashem to reveal certain things in the neshama. To use the expression, that's the way it's going to occur. In other words, that if we would have remained Lamaila, we were Makusha to Hashem. Hashem wants us to be Makusha to Him, even though we had a choice not to be. And even though we were in a situation where it looked as if it was pretty impossible to be Makusha to Him, and after it became we were Makusha. You follow? And that reveals a most unbelievable dimension inside the neshama. You follow? And he talks about it, he hints at that later in the Sefer.
So we became slaves. We became slaves to Hashem instead of slaves to Paro.
Right.
We were so broken in the middle that we became slaves to Hashem instead of the slave of Paro.
That's what the Rebbe says. The Rebbe said, that's all wonderful, and that's emes and that, but he had to say, enough is enough. So he didn't reveal all that. It's all been done. Everything which needed to be achieved has been achieved. As you came, we're only holding by Kabbalah's Pnei Mashiach. Just by receiving Mashiach. Over Einochanami, you should realize that I heard it from the Rebbe. I was there, and the Rebbe said, Mufurish, everything which Yidden were meant to achieve through the Goddess, they've already achieved. You follow? All the treasures are all there in the fullest possible way. All the treasures are there. It's just a question now of pulling down the curtain, and we'll see the whole unbelievable treasure. But the Rebbe said it has to be now, because the matzah of Goddess is not an easy matzah, and it wasn't meant to be. And the Rebbe said, enough is enough. I heard him say it. The Rebbe said, Ginuk is Ginuk. Enough is enough. And that's the unbelievable courage of the Rebbe that other Jewish leaders, we never see that they got that far. They point out to you certain greatnesses in certain situations, and they see that and everything. But somebody should have the leadership of the whole Jewish people, all the neshamas,
No mashpia, no
to come
yayin.
along and say to the Eibishter, Eibishter, this is enough, we've completed everything that you really wanted. Let's move now to taking down the curtain. That's an unbelievable courage that there's never been on the part of any Jewish leader, as far as in other words, that the unbelievable greatness of the Rebbe's message is, how do you call it? Wonderful, everything is unbelievable, everything is unbelievable. No, let's now move to that final state. It's all true. Let's have a good prayer.
You want me to get that or you?
No, if the mashpia is leaving, I don't drink with the boys. I told you, bring your own wine if you want to drink your own wine.
That's a question, huh?
It's very clear when there's a l'chaim and there's a mashpia. I don't know what's the matter with you.
There is wine, but he doesn't want it because you're leaving, so we can't have it.
He says you're not qualified.
If you want a l'chaim, you got to stay.
He's not qualified. He said you're not qualified enough.
He's staying.
You guys have a sickness, an addiction.
Huh?
You know, he doesn't want you to get addicted.
That's not true. I want a mashpia to make l'chaim with. If he's leaving, I don't need you to make l'chaim.
Hey, he's not qualified enough.
Okay, bring your own.
Huh?
Go home.
You have to do something about your addiction. There are pills for that today.
When I do something I put, I give it. Thank you.
No.
I hope you'll replace it because it's not my donation.
לא למחוק, את האחרי אפשר למחוק, אחרי שזה עולה. אני יכול לדעת ככה וזהו.
Daniel,
The world is still trying to cut what the Rebbe said. It's unbelievable. The Rebbe never says anything new. Everything the Rebbe says is written in the Rebbe. What is the chiddush of the Rebbe? What's new? Is that the Rebbe says, all that is there, but we have reached a conclusion. Now is beginning what all the promises have to occur. That's what the Rebbe says. The whole of the Rebbe's sikhas are all different angles of how we have to actually live the Guru's life. We have to actually make it a reality. That's how we know the Rebbe. You follow? That's the unbelievable greatness. If you look at the whole sort of way the Rebbe approaches Ayinyan, that's unbelievable. He takes all these amazing things that the Rebbe said all over the generations, and he moves them in this unbelievable direction. And even amongst us, I have a feeling that we're still, just beginning. We're beginning to understand.
Wow.
Neil, you want to run with the cracker pad?
No, thank you.
First class snack.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'oreinu zayin.
Amen.
What it means is that everything you do is building an amazing richness in itself. Not only nothing gets lost, everything's built. Yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'oreinu zayin.
Amen.
Chaim.
So I just want to mention something what may appear to be on a slightly different note, and that is that tonight is Tessiah, right? And it happens to be Tiferet Shebaneta. And Tessiah is the outside of a very special person that I was there to know just before I came to Eretz. And he had a leading role in bringing me to Eretz. And after I came to Eretz, I was there to be very close with him. And unfortunately, to our great sorrow, about a year and something that I was here, now it's short, he passed away. Pinya Alte. And Pinya Alte, in his good functioning years, he was a askan at a He did things to build up Chabad and to promote both the moisters of Chabad and also private people. There are all sorts of people and families to this day in Chabad that if it weren't for Pinya's help and the assistance that he gave them at the beginning, that they wouldn't have had Parashat to this day. And Pinya, he was a most amazing person. And he was descendant from a family that they were also very Mesiras Nefesh, devoted chassidim, both to the Friedrich Rebbe and the Rebbe Rasha. And our uncle of his, I think, I've forgotten exactly how it worked. I think it was his uncle, or maybe, I'm not sure, but somebody very closely related to him. He went out with he was one of the three chassidim that they went out with the Friedrich Rebbe into the Goddess. And people didn't know how long it was going to be. They thought it was going to be 3 years, and Baruch Hashem was only a few days. But there was three chassidim that they went out and they tried to prepare a bit the whole situation in Kostroma before the Rebbe came. Yeah, one of them was Machol Dvokim, one of them was I've forgotten my mom's name. And the third one was Eli, a person called Eli Alter. Eli Alter, I have a feeling he was an uncle, or I don't know, maybe it was, I'm not sure, but I think he was a first uncle of Rapinya Alter, and Rapinya, he was the most amazing combination. But amongst his, what you might call varied gifts, he was also a most beautiful menagin. He sang very beautifully, or very much so, and he knew all the old nigunim and everything. And he also had nigunim, what he himself, what you might call, more or less like sort of composed them or made them up. And he was, there's a certain nigun, which I'm going to try and sing it now if I can, Hashem will help me, that they used to call Pinya's nigun, it was called. And I have a feeling that he more or less composed this nigun. But how did I hear it from? How did I hear it? When I was still in Australia, before I made the Aliyah to Eretz soil, with the Rebbe's bracha, I got a most amazing bracha, but before, when I was still in Melbourne, Australia, Pinya Altes, he came out to visit all the Anash in Australia, and he was a representative of the Yeshiva and the Beit Sefer LaMalacha in Chabad. And later, many years later, Hashem made it that I did the same thing. I also came back to Melbourne, representing the Yeshiva and the Beit Sefer LaMalacha. Who would have dreamed? Anyway, he came out as a special representative of the Moistus in Chabad to the community in Melbourne. And he was very respected. So people gave money. In those days, people came forward and they helped him. And the money went to the Yeshiva in Chabad and also to the Beit Sefer LaMalacha. So the shliach, the official shliach in Melbourne at that time was Rabbi Grummer, Rabbi Yitzchak Grummer. Yitzchak Grummer, you bought a little back to him, Label's brother. Label's brother, he was like the official shliach. And he was an amazing person. That I could tell the stories came out that they talk about him. So he made like after Rapinya had been in Melbourne a couple of days, he made like in his house, was a Thursday night, he made like a general Kabbalah's ponim, that he called like reception for Rapinya being a very kosher visitor and everything to Anash. And he made like an official welcoming Suda in his house. And he invited all the chassidim that were at that time available, all the mashpiyim, my mashpiyim, Rebbe Pliskin, and all the choshev people, the old Rav of Mordechai Palo, they all came. And it was a very amazing gathering around the table. Here's Rapinya sitting in the middle, and Rabbi Yitzchak alongside him, and you got all these really pneumistic people and choshev people who were, sitting around. So it was a little hard for me at that time. I was just, polishing up my Yiddish. I'd already learned the basic structure of the language, but I had to become accustomed to hearing it spoken and everything. So they were all talking away, and I was working very hard. But I remember what happened was that Pinya was sitting, he was talking with all the chassidim and everything. So all of a sudden, Rabbi Pliskin, but he was the most amazing person. I was zeichet to be a couple of years. He was an amazing pneumistic person. I can tell his stories about him also the whole night. So Rabbi Pliskin, he turned to Pinya, and he said to him, Pinya, he said, I know one of the greatnesses of Chassidus is gives itself out. Gitz achrei. I remember him saying in Nagina. So he said, we're all sitting here. He said, Pinya, he said, Zokta Nigun. He said, you have to give over a nigun. In Yiddish, you say a nigun. It's Zokta Nigun. So all of a sudden it became very quiet, and it was like a big hush fell, and this whole group was amazing. I see it now very clearly, all these people. Their opinion, everybody turned, everybody knew he was a great managa, and everybody wanted to hear. Rav Ava said, we have to have a nigga, you follow? So all of a sudden, opinion pulled himself together, buttoned up his bucket shirt and all that, and whenever he sang, he used to sing with open, before he used to sing like a real somebody who's singing, he didn't do real, but he used to give it out, very fully, like with an open mouth. I was just, something. So he began singing a most amazing nigger. So I want to try if I can just see from him to get it to nigger. You should realize that all the people who were sitting there were some kosher people. There was everybody, and he sang it with such beautiful intonation. I remember I was tremendously struck. Even though I was a little bit just getting into these inyanim at that time. I was tremendously impressed. So that was Rapinia. So what happened was Rapinia, he came up with the idea that I had to leave Australia. That was one of his basic ideas, that I had to leave Australia. So he spoke about it with my mashpiyim and everything, and then he left Australia and he went all the way in those days to travel from Australia across to America. It was like, flying to Mars. It was, yet nonetheless he did. And he eventually got over to the Rebbe after this visit, way down in Australia. He got over to the Rebbe and he had the Yechidas with the Rebbe. And in the Yechidas, he asked the Rebbe what did the Rebbe think. There were a couple of opinions as to where I should go, what I should do. And he asked the Rebbe in my name, what did the Rebbe think I should do? So the Rebbe said, like mein Meinung davon achrei be'eretz achrei. So the Rebbe said, according to my opinion, you must go only to the Holy Land, to Eretz Yisrael.
Wow.
Yeah. So Pina said of the Siddur in Melbourne was they held as America, the Sprachen, so the Rebbe said, ich habe gesagt, meine Meinung, bloß Eretz Yisrael. The Rebbe said, I've already said my opinion. There's no point in discussing it any further, only Eretz Yisrael. So the next thing is, I get these news that I'm supposed to be going to Eretz Yisrael. It just changed my whole life. It was just unbelievable what happened. So I wrote a letter to the Rebbe about my whole situation, and the Rebbe wrote me a letter. I got a most amazing letter from the Rebbe, and the Rebbe said that you must go only to Eretz Yisrael. You must finish up everything. You must go to Eretz Yisrael. Well, so here I am. And I tried once to leave Eretz Yisrael, that time. Oh yeah. And I even had a yechidus with the Rebbe about it. That was just after the Yom Kippur War, and I'd been in the army, and they said they were going to be calling us regularly for due to the situation. And I didn't want to be in that situation. It was disturbing my work in the yeshiva and everything. So when I got to visit the Rebbe, I was offered by Hadar Torah that I should become a mashpia over there in Hadar Torah. Yeah. So I brought this up to the Rebbe in Yechidah. It was absolutely amazing. The Rebbe never mentioned anything about the army. He never said anything about it. He just didn't pay any attention to that. And the Rebbe just said, you have a holy shlichus. That's what the Rebbe said. You have a shlichus kedosha. And the Rebbe said, in a yeshiva kedosha, in a holy yeshiva. And the Rebbe said, be'eretz ha-kedosha. That was in the Holy Land. And the Rebbe said, Mamele, you have to do it, and it has to be b'simcha. That's all. That was the answer. I wrote a whole big arihas. That's what the Rebbe answered.
What year?
Yeah.
What year are we talking about? What year? That year? You don't remember?
I should translate it.
No, the year.
Yom Kippur.
Are you didn't hear?
That year. 73.
Are you didn't hear?
No. What year, I said, year.
What do I hear?
73, Yom Kippur War.
Yom Kippur War.
He got the answer. He got the answer. He got the answer. הוא קיבל תשובה, הוא קיבל תשובה.
What's compulsory?
He received the answer. He asked what year it was. We told him 73. It's okay to say it.
Unfortunately, I'm pretty much deaf. I don't hear a lot of things. Anyway, whatever. That's what most amazing. The Rebbe said to me three things: Slichas Kedosha, Yeshiva Kedosha, Min Tonchet Mem, Be'eretz HaKadosh. That's it. So I just want to complete the Farbringen, but another niggin that Pinya Altes used to sing.
Thank you. Bye.
I left him. I suppose you know the Kirk anymore. I hear all these mice about but you should realize that Pinya was a person that he had Mesiras Nefesh to do a teva for another year. If he knew that he could help another person, we're talking about the Gafni. Yes, in High and Young, he was prepared for any effort. He didn't see anything to be a tilka, how do you call it?
Difficult.
How do you call it? And so I was privileged to see that in action. And therefore the yeshiva, you remember, the whole zal, the big new zal, was called Beit Pinchas, you remember? On the outside of the building was written Beit Pinchas. But that was after
that was him?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
Beit Pinchas. They were, after he passed away, they called it Beit Pinchas on his name. Indicating the tremendous amount of work that he put into building Tonchetun. Yeah. So anyway, he had another name, a very different sort of one. And this is the famous piyut that we say at the end of Shachris, just before Moshe, on Simchas Torah. So that is usually by Chabad pretty late in the afternoon. In the Siddur it's written Bebeit, or in Lubavitch only comes out late in the afternoon. And that is, it's written Ashreichem, this is already in the middle. Ashreichem Yisrael, Ashreichem Yisrael, Ashreichem Yisrael, Asher Bocha Bochem Keil. How happy are you that the Eibishter has chosen you? You're the chosen people. So he had a niggun, and when you hear the niggun, you're going to be familiar. It's going to be familiar to you. But it sort of began in a very amazing way, and then it broke into what I think you will recognize. And I'm going to try and reproduce it like I heard it from him, but I'm not going to be able to. But I want you to hear the niggun, because it expresses what we were just talking about. The goddess, Yidden have never really recognized the goddess. So they've suffered terribly in the goddess, but they've never really recognized the goddess. Which means that the whole time they've been building this most amazing treasure chest, despite the goddess. Right? And that's Ashrei. So he used to Ashrei Ashreichem Yisrael, Ashreichem Yisrael, Ashreichem Yisrael, Asher ישראל, אשרייכם ישראל, אשרייכם ישראל, אשר בוחר בוכם הקהל, When I heard that, I changed. I was not the same person. If you would have heard, and said, you should realize I finished off a ring. What's the time? Chamshab. That once the Friedrich Riemann in the last period before the stalkers, the Friedrich used to suffer pain from the paralysis and other things. He used to have periods of severe pain. Yeah. So one of the things they used to do was like play nigunim for the Friedrich Riemann to, make a bit, how do you call it, like friendly. So in those days they didn't have what they got nowadays, with all discs and all that, even cassettes. They used to have these huge, great tape things, long, broad tapes. So they happened to have one, a Reb Piniel of Sholem, who was still alive at that time, but he was an achrei. And they had one, a Reb Piniel singing some of his nigunim. You follow? So they put it on the table and they started playing it for the Friedrich Riemann. And the Friedrich Riemann paid very close attention to the nigunim. And when it completed one side of the whole thing, the Friedrich Riemann said, "Azah masikas hab ich nicht gehört seit Lubavitch." He said, such a sweetness in Nagina I haven't heard since I was in Lubavitch. That's it. Azah masikas hab ich nicht gehört seit Lubavitch. So Chaim, everybody should be masikas. Name is masikas at the Gura. Chaim.
Since he was in the Bavitch, he was missing. Friedrich Rebbe had time in the Bavitch. He was headquartered.
Emerson Masikas, that's what the Rebbe wanted. Masikas. Sweetness, positivity, too. No.
He was born in the